Hi, Maddie.
Okay, Maddie.
Hi. How much better is the phone camera than the computer?
Way better.
No hum, no buzz.
Yeah,
Sounds amazing.
Even though I have a shitty old computer and old headphones, I have a brand new iPhone.
Nice.
There you go. There it is.
And not to just go right into promoting large corporations, but I will say that I went to AT&T to trade in my old phone that was like 5 years old, and they gave me $700 for it. And the Apple store was going to give me like $100 for it. So I got the brand new iPhone, and I pay $8 a month for it, like to pay it off.
Wow.
Amazing.
And
AT&T. Sponsored by
so
AT&T.
that's amazing because we're actually sponsored by AT&T. So that's so sick. Well, congrats on your new phone, Maddie Ross.
Welcome
What's
to
up,
SongDive.
girlies? Thanks for having me.
Of course. We're so excited to have you. You're the first guest on this podcast, and I'm so stoked about it.
Fun.
I'm so glad this worked out. It was really hard getting in touch with your people. And I'm so glad that it worked out that you could be here for a little bit this morning.
Yeah, your team really pulled some favors with me, and I agreed to it.
I know. This is years in the making, just having you on, so...
Truly.
Tremendously excited and tremendously nervous and sweating.
I've been told I'm kind of terrorizing.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Package coming. Dog's about to bark.
Okay, I have maybe in here, so maybe she will. Oh.
Aww.
Maybe.
Right on cue.
Okay.
Feel free to tend to it if y'all need.
She's leaving.
Cool.
Okay.
This is a really good insight into our life. Sarah and I, we live in a 1,000 square foot house, and we're never too far away from each other. And we're just managing dogs barking, and then trying to have peace and quiet, and then being like, "Hey, what's up? Do you know what you're gonna do for lunch?"
Yes, that's so cute. Do you mostly each work from home? I know Sarah said that she does.
Yeah, I also work from home. We really lucked out during the pandemic, and we found a 3-bedroom house, so we each have an office. And
Ideal.
so we can close the door. But it's a tiny, tiny house.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Okay, well, you are about to release your first song in a while called Trash Fire.
Yeah.
Extremely exciting. And then you're heading on tour with Illuminati Hotties, so getting a chance to play it live should be fun.
I know. So this song I actually have been playing live for a couple of years now. I wrote it, maybe like 2021 or something. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I've kind of just had a period of taking a break from releasing music and kind of trying to figure out what I want to do with my life. I kind of, entered a new chapter. I fell in love, got married, had a couple of dogs.
Say more.
So this song, Trash Fire, I kind of felt like the beginning of a new chapter sonically, and obviously it's not really where I'm at in my life right now, but it is kind of a pretty important piece of like what I've been through since I last put out music. And the song is so fun to play live, so the Maddie heads have already heard it, but I'm kind of excited to give it some real legs and like get people hearing it.
That's so exciting.
Yes.
Yeah, are you going to do it full band on this upcoming tour, or?
Yeah, I have a mini version of the full band. So I'm borrowing some players from Illuminati Hotties.
Nice. Okay, sick.
Yeah, so Brendan, who plays drums with Sarah, has actually played drums with me for like 7 or 8 years or something. Like he's been in my band.
Oh wow.
For as long as I can remember. So he's good and already knows.
He's so
all
good.
The stuff.
He's so good.
I stole Brendan from Maddie.
Yeah, no, I put that together.
No, it's not stealing. Brendan is a treasure that the entire world needs to experience. He's such an amazing musician.
Yeah.
He's such a nice person. He's one of those people that I just like I've known him for so long, and literally every single time I hang out with him, I'm like, wow, I think I like him more than I ever have. Like, he just gets more and more special the more you get to know about him.
Good man alert.
Good man alert.
Yeah.
Good man alert.
Single man.
ladies.
Oh!
Ladies.
Sarah has a show that is not announced, so I can't say what it is, but it's coming up in a year, and I'm like, I shouldn't say this.
This is
We can cut it out. Yeah.
This is a destination show. I'm going to put that in quotes, and they're they're putting us up for this, and they've been kind enough to give us enough rooms for all of us. So we're inviting our partners, and I told Brendan if he gets a girlfriend by the time of this show, then he can bring her.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, so everyone has a year to slide into those DMs.
Yeah.
True.
Brendan
Actually,
Tucker.
don't slide into. I don't think he goes like on Instagram.
Oh yeah, he's such a good
guy.
eligible bachelor that
Yeah.
he is not checking his DMs. But come to a show, buy a ticket to an Illuminati Hotties Maddie Ross show. See the drum. He talks to everybody. You'll find him that way.
Yeah.
IRL.
It's true.
Yeah.
Maddie,
Wow.
Sorry, Brendan.
Tell us about I'm just curious. So you wrote this song, just to do a hard pivot back. You wrote this song, the new song Trash Fire, with Jaden Seeley, who many of us know from a band called With Confidence that used to be on Hopeless Records also, and they've been just doing it for an Australian band doing it for a long time. And Jaden now lives here and is like producer, writer extraordinaire.
Yeah. Jaden is so good. You and I were just saying, I feel like he's on the cusp of just like, he's about to be having a giant career as a producer songwriter. He's just like writing with him. So we wrote Trash Fire. I was a huge With Confidence fan. And I remember in 2019 when I put out my album, they followed me on Twitter, and I was like, oh my god, like maybe I could work with them somehow one day. And then when I was working with this woman, Shayna, who's awesome, who was doing my publishing, and she was like, do you have just like because I was like, I need to find a new collaborator. I used to collaborate with my former partner, and so I was kind of like, with my breakup came a lot of like, you know, who do I work with, you know, basically trying to rebuild my collaborations and that type of thing. And she was like, do you have a wish list of just like who you would love to work with? And Jaden was on my wish list, and Shayna was just like, oh yeah, like I know his manager, I'll reach out. And then a week later they were just like, yeah, he loves your stuff, like we can get a meeting on the calendar. And I was like, no way, this is crazy.
Yeah.
And I kind of had a lot of confidence rebuilding to do because I studied, I was a songwriting major at USC. I've been writing songs my entire life. It's like what I've always wanted to do for myself and other artists. Thanks, Ellie. But then, yeah, I kind of had a major period kind of after 2019 and after putting out my album where I just like, my self-worth as an artist and writer was really low, and I was scared to, I don't know, I felt really paralyzed. Like I just felt scared to make a move in any direction. And I also was aware like, oh, I'm going through this major life experience that so many people, like that is their catalyst for writing albums. And I just felt like I was too sad to write. I was too like nervous and stressed. And, you know, I'd been on tour. I did like 2 huge tours end of 2018 and beginning of 2019, and I was like, I had credit card debt, like pandemic started, so I really was just like kind of just trying to focus on being an adult and figuring out where I was going to live and just, you know, getting all of that together. So I didn't write for most of 2020, and then I mean, I had a fat notes app of just like a million thoughts, and I have a bunch of random voice memos, but I couldn't complete anything. And so then, yeah, I think this song with Jaden was kind of the unlocking of it, because had a meeting with Shayna, and she was like, "You gotta get, like, I'll set up some sessions," because I was pouring my heart out to her, being like, "I don't know who to work with, blah, blah, blah."
Yeah.
And she's like, "Well, who's your dream person?" And then, yeah, she set up this thing with Jaden within like a week, and then we did this session, and we wrote the song in like 30 minutes. Like, it came out so fast. He's so easy to work with. And it's such a fun song, and I could immediately picture performing it live, and like it was like a shot in the ass. Like, it was gave me so much energy. And from there I was like, okay, I'm ready to be an artist again.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, it has such a palpable energy, this song. And I was wondering, like, as far as the production goes, was it more Jaden or you who knew that, like, you wanted to steer it in that, like, really energetic, almost kind of like heavy direction? Or was that something that was, like, in your heart since you made the lyrics?
No, that's a good question. So, Jaden is, like, fully the producer of this song. Like, he made it so quickly. The desk bounce of just after our first day of working is almost the finished product. So it just came together really quickly, and his band is like a very poppy pop punk. Like, that's one of the reasons I was such a fan, is because I'm like, this is, completely in that genre, but the songwriting is like A++ quality. He's such a good songwriter. So
that's sick.
I kind of knew going in that was a little bit of the vibe, but also Jaden had just listened to a bunch of my music that was already out, and he came up with a couple different riffs. And so when I got there, he was like, "Hey, I just have a couple things in mind for you if you want to start there." And he showed me that one riff that is now Trash Fire, and I was like, "Oh yeah, that one, let's go."
Like a guitar riff or like a vocal?
Yeah.
Okay.
The guitar riff, yeah.
Okay.
So he started with that guitar riff, and we looped it, and then I told him kind of about what I was going through in my life, and then I had this giant notes app, and it just started coming out. Like, I truly, like, the melody and words kind of came at the same time, and I was basing off of what was in this notes app, and I remember saying the word, actually, I forgot about this. So before we started writing, I had this Bitmoji. Do you remember Bitmojis?
Refresh my memory.
They're like memojis. Hold on, I gotta...
Bitmoji is like this app that's like, it's like a cartoon version of you, and you design your like avatar, and then you can like type "I miss you" into Bitmoji, and it gives you like 100 like animations with your little... Do you have it pulled up, Maddie?
Yeah, so you like create your little person, and then it's just like sending emojis, and now Apple has integrated it, so there's like an Apple version, but it used to be you had to like download this other app and then sync it with your keyboard. And so I found this Bitmoji. How do I turn my camera around? Does this app have a rotate button? Anyways, this was this Bitmoji.
Wait till
hold on.
There you go.
Oh my god! And that's the slushy, right? The Slurpee.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, yeah, I saw that Bitmoji, and I remember being like, talking to my friends and being like, this is how I feel. Like, I feel so numb. I'm in so much emotional pain. And it feels like, and then, the pandemic started. I'm just like, it feels like the world is on fire around me. And I feel so numb, and like, just the image of this little cartoon Maddie, like, drinking her drink and being like, everything's on fire behind her. So I had that Bitmoji copy pasted into my notes app above all these lyrics. And so then I came to Jaden, and he was like, "What do you want to write about?" And I kind of told him, and I was like, this picture right here of my little Bitmoji, like, that is just the feeling I want to convey in this song. And he was like, "Cool, like a trash fire?" And I was like, yeah. And so he pulled the word trash fire out of that, and then it just came together so quickly. It's like, you guys both know songwriting is like most of the time really laborious, so that you can then have those random euphoric moments where an entire song comes out in like 30 minutes.
Yeah, that's fair.
It was one of those.
Maddie,
that's so sick. Yeah.
For those who don't know Maddie, which I'm gonna guess that like many listeners of the pod maybe haven't run into you as a person necessarily yet, but like Maddie's life is like a series of like symbols and avatars that like represent reality, kind of. And like I don't know how else to describe it, but like it's all like Maddie will just like say like, I feel like ocean right now, and then expect everyone to know exactly what she's talking about. And so like you bringing the Bitmoji and being like, this is what the song is, and Jaden just like getting it is so amazing to me.
Yeah, he didn't question it at all. He just was like, okay. I mean, I cannot overemphasize how good he is. Like, because Sarah and I also, earlier this summer, like a few weeks ago, did another session with Jaden, and we all three wrote another song for my upcoming EP. And it's the same thing. Like, I told him I wanted to do, I guess I'm giving away the next single, but I wanted it to be like 5 Seconds of Summer. She looked so perfect. Like, I want it to be like a boy band song, but just one lesbian.
We need that.
Which most boy band songs are, if you can
Right.
squint and recontextualize.
Right.
So
Kind of gay.
Yeah. So we just told him that, and then he's like, yeah, and he like thinks for a second, and then he just plays something, and we're like, yep, that's it, let's go, and then you're like off to the races.
Inside every queer person is 5 boy band members.
And inside every 5 boy band members is 1 lesbian.
The Russian doll effect.
Yeah, so anyway, Jaden really, like, I feel so lucky that it was this person who musically I just, like, was a huge fan of and looked up to, and, like, even kind of had, it was in my wish list of what I wanted to, who I would want to work with and what I would want to make in an ideal world, and I thought I was going to have to find, the thrift store version of that, but I didn't. Sometimes you can just ask people and they're cool enough to say yes.
Yeah, did you end up working with him on other songs then, aside from Trash Fire and then the next single?
No, so those are the only 2 so far. He's a really pretty busy dude.
Sure.
He's actually on the same label as Sarah. He's on Hopeless Records, so he has a solo project, and he has With Confidence, and then he also is producing a lot of other people. So, more packages. What did you order?
I'm sorry. Well, it's I'm getting ready for tour, so there's a lot of things that I'm trying right now to make the stage look cool, and one of those things is a tall LED light, okay?
Yeah, it was a huge box. My desk just, like, is up against a window facing our front door, so I have a good eye on all the deliveries coming in.
LED light, like what? I don't know what my question is, but like, what does it look like? Like, is it like long?
It just looks
or
like it's like a 5 foot tall pole, basically.
Yeah.
And like the
Like a
way they
rectangle?
advertise it is that you put it in the corner of a room and it kind of like throws light in like a cool way. But I'm trying to like basically light a window that I've built, and I think it's like thin enough that I can hide it behind the like border. Whatever. This doesn't
Wow.
make. We're going to talk about Maddie.
I mean, that's y'all are going on the same tour, so
Yeah,
it's
what's
related.
mine is yours.
Yeah.
That's so true. Basically, I'm just trying to make the stage look like a little more pro and a little more thoughtful than just like getting on stage and using house lights. And
yeah,
so
like your own.
Anyway, I built a huge window. I'm not totally sure if like the $30 light that just arrived from the internet is gonna like be the right way to do it, but the next option is like a much more expensive sort of like professional style light bar, and so I thought I would try a few things and see if I can get it to like glow in a nice way without spending hundreds of dollars.
Yeah, no, it sounds like a good place to start for sure.
We'll see.
Hey. Sarah,
so
did you have any? Oh yeah, go ahead.
yeah, I was just gonna ask Maddie about like just more of like the style of this song. Like, so I remember hearing the first version, which is basic. You know, like Maddie said, it's very close to this. And they ended up having someone mix it the mix didn't really turn out the way they wanted to, and like the biggest missing piece to me was the all of the like hand clap stuff and like gang vocals kind of disappeared. Exactly, the like "We Will Rock You" of the song
It's like
disappeared.
an amazing like post chorus, or maybe you consider that the chorus, but
No,
each part.
yeah.
I was just gonna say each part is like so yummy and like feels nutritious though because the lyrics are really good.
Yeah.
And then when that part came, I was like, oh, it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. So you said the first mix like didn't really have that same like bravado maybe, or
It
like
kind
energy.
of made it like slick in this really weird way, and then basically I was like, do you want me to just try a mix, because I feel like the first thing Jaden sent is actually pretty much it. Like, I don't think it needs a lot of mixing love. I think it just needs like, you know, a bit of like buffness added. And part of that was bringing back the like ambient energy, and so I was curious like what you were listening to, and like also is there like it's kind of glam rock in a cool way, like it's sonically maybe not, but like there like you said, the boom clap and the like gang vocals, and like what were the like influences as far as like music you were listening to? Am I totally off the mark here with like it being like, you know, there's like a Def Leppard "Pour Some Sugar on Me" inherent element there.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question, and I feel like my answer is probably disappointing to more producer-minded type of people, because there are definitely songs where going into it, like another song on this EP that you know of, where I had like a couple really strong sonic references, and you know, I had a title and I was like, writing this song, I know I want it sonically to sound like this.
Yeah.
This song really was the Bitmoji, like it was so. I feel like the way that like the production came together and the genre of it really was kind of a byproduct of Jaden's skill set, and like also Jaden using my previous discography as a reference. So it's like a lot of my influence is really in there, because, you know, my discography, I really like, you know, a lot of just like punk stuff, but then I also listened to so much pop music growing up. Like I grew up on the Spice Girls and Britney and shit. So I like have a love of true pop, and I kind of like my sound developed to kind of want to embrace like this really girly side of me that I felt like when I was young and closeted, I really rejected. And once I kind of like understood my sexuality and knew that I liked girls, I was able to kind of like find this identity for myself where I was like, you actually are, like I never saw the representation of like what kind of lesbian I could be. So I just didn't really, I was like trying to fit into these boxes. And then I kind of used writing music to like kind of explore my own branding, or my own like how I wanted to seem. So
your own Bitmoji, so to speak.
Exactly. Yeah, I was really just looking for my own Bitmoji to find who I am. And but yeah, so my music kind of evolved to incorporate like, you know, I grew up on like Avril, which is you know, very commercialized girly pop punk, and like Ashley Simpson, so a lot of like pop stuff dressed up in rock, and then also like I grew up listening to a lot of indie rock and like Tegan and Sarah, and I loved like Something Corporate and you know, those types of bands, Say Anything. And so I feel like all of that is to say that I have a pretty wide set of musical influences, and it's a lot of pop, and I think that this song kind of sounding more I like you've mentioned a lot the glam rock type of thing, which was not something I was even aware of until you said it. Like, I think more I just was like, what does this song call for in this moment? Like, it should feel huge. Like, the claps kind of instinctually came. I knew I wanted a big post-chorus because we had already written the main chorus, but then we were like, what about the trash fire piece? Mm-hmm. And I think Jaden kind of sang that like in a sing-songy way, and I was like, yes, there we go. Like it sounds like playground chant. Like, it kind of needs like a stomp clap type of thing. So then he just started building it out, and that was kind of maybe the most obvious way to arrange it. But yeah, I didn't start with being like, this is how I want this song to sound. This particular song was more about me getting these feelings out and like opening up the dam of writing about breakup and like the pain I was in and how numb I felt and like angry, and I think sonically it just took its own shape, and it actually made it a little bit difficult for me once I was like trying to figure out, because I knew I had this song was like done and it started and wrapped up really quickly, and then I was like, oh, I should put out some more music, and then I found myself a little bit more trying to figure out what is the sound of this, and I was, didn't have a consistent collaborator. I was like, going on the speed dating of writer producer world and working with a ton of different people, and so I had all these different demos. A lot of them sounded very different. They were in various stages. Some producers like Jaden, you're just like, I could put this out tomorrow after working with you for a day. Others, it's, more, we've got a solid voice memo at the end. I didn't know who would produce what. And Sarah, I don't know if you're comfortable with me sharing this. We can cut it if not. But so you and you mixing this was your first time working on any of my stuff. And I know that you had kind of, like, you and you've asked me in on various things, like writing-wise, with other artists you're working with. So we definitely had collaborated and stuff like that, but you sort of had a hesitation about working on my music, and I think that, like, a lot of it is, just kind of that weird dynamic of, like, not wanting to be directly compared to, like, my previous music, how it was co-written and produced by a previous partner, and, like, I know that is just like kind of a weird parallel that for not being the only reason, like, just wanting to keep separation from our work life and our personal life, and I think that mixing felt like a safe way for you to be involved in that, and then it wasn't really until this summer, which is several years later, that I was like, I have these songs, like, I trust you so much as a songwriter and producer. Like, I really want you to help me finish a couple of these. And you were like, fuck it, let's do it. And we've had so much fun working on them. All.
Yeah. Like, will you mix my album?
Literally.
Like you said, mixing is sort of like, to me, like a pretty non-emotional process, like, I'm just like trying to get it to sound like it should be on the radio, or it should be in a whatever, like in a tin can, whatever the band wants, and to me, I'm not like very precious about mixing. It's more like math to me, where I'm like just trying to like get it to sound really good, and also however the artist wants it to sound, like, which doesn't always mean really good. With like this song, it was so close that like I didn't really need much, and I kind of feel like the first round mixer did like a little bit too much of their own thing on something that was like already had a thing, and so yeah, that was an easy way in. And obviously, like in relationships, there's a sort of like inherent like insecurity with like, oh my god, like you don't want to compare yourself to like someone's past, but like we all come into relationships carrying baggage and like kind of like an image of how we think a relationship should go, or like how we think that other person's relationship went. And so just it was just like at first a little scary maybe to be like to become the in-house producer when,
Yeah.
you know, like, that was just like a corner of my life that I didn't want to have such a direct comparison or to even invite that. Like, I don't feel like at this point there is a direct comparison because I feel like the music is different and like everybody's lives are different now. But like at the time, for sure, like in 2020, it was like, ooh, like I don't want to also put myself in that arena right now. But like
totally fair.
But we have worked on other people's stuff together just as a songwriting pair and like and production pair and like that.
Yeah, what stuff have y'all what artists have y'all worked on as far as co-writing?
We did
or like
the
worked with?
Mississippi EP that just came out.
Oh, nice.
Zoe's
Sick.
EP. And we've done
So fun.
Yeah, that was really fun because we had like a full like 3 or 4 days where we just all three of us were working the whole time. And there's been sort of various sessions where like I'm kind of like sometimes someone will reach out to me and I'll kind of be like, ooh, like I think I need like a little bit of like olive oil in the pan here, you know, like it might be just a little bit stale if it's just like me looking at the computer and this other person that I don't know, like looking at the back of my head. And Maddie is a good kind of like alchemist in the room with like just getting the energy feeling really good and like getting people talking and writing lyrics. But I guess
such a
maybe
cool
this
team.
It's fun. It's really fun. And so like there was no way to lose, I guess.
I cover the chatterbox contingent when you're working hard at the computer.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I've found that having 3 people in the room, like in those roles, is really helpful because there is, when it's just, you know, person at the computer and person holding the guitar or whatever, there is sort of like an inherent disconnect where you're like kind of trying to manage both things and capture everything, but also like, you know, give this person attention, but also like move fast in the computer, which Jaden is really good at. But I had a question just, you know, for me and Allie and the other producers who listen, that like what for you as an artist walking into that room makes you feel creative and comfortable quickly?
That's a really good question.
It is.
I think about songwriting, I said this earlier, as like speed dating, and I think that a lot of artists are similar to me in that like we're very emotions forward, and catching a vibe, like sorry about articulating this well. I think that you almost kind of immediately know when there's chemistry and when there's not, and it's such a personal relationship that even if someone is like the most technically proficient, amazing musician in the world, if you don't come in and feel like an open channel on both ends and feel like this honesty and fun, honestly, like even if you're working on a sad song, there needs to be like a dynamic of we're here having fun, and it's like, you know, positive, like you need positive energy to create, and that doesn't mean it has to be like upbeat, happy-go-lucky. Like, you know, you need some kind of momentum. So I think that sometimes, you know, producers can focus so much on the other pieces that they forget that the main thing is like, the artist needs to feel comfortable, and like that needs to be working right. And then also I think that aside, some of the most stressful sessions I've had is when someone is like not comfortable with their gear and is getting stressed out about like, you know, gear mishaps, computer mishaps, like that. And I think that if there's technical issues, that is fine. Like that actually doesn't scare me or most people. If you're like, hold on, you know, like we got to reboot, like, why don't we go for a walk while this happens? You know, if you can like do it calmly, but it's more like if a person is stressed out in their own space, then I start to feel like, oh no, like do I need to take control? Like if the other person feels very in control and calm, then I feel like comfortable being myself and doing my thing. And if not, then I like kind of leave that creative space, and I'm more like, oh fuck, I've got to now be in a room with this person for 6 to 8 hours, and we've got to have something happen in that time.
Yeah. Well, just to like stay on this specific train, talking about working with producers, is there like a specific atmosphere that you feel like you're more comfortable in, whether it's like someone's house in like a much more like DIY setup, knowing that, you know, if you need to record drums somewhere else, you will, or is it fun to is it fun to like step into maybe a more polished studio with tons of gear that you could find inspiration from, or like look on the wall and be like, I love that record. Yeah, let's do something like that. Like, can that be more of a source of inspiration or like intimidation? Or have you even thought that way or felt any of that?
I would say that in my experience, like that can be more intimidating than anything. Like, I think that, I mean, being socialized as a woman, you know, you kind of are taught this like inferiority when or you know, you internalize this inferiority when it comes to gear and like knowing how to, you know, do stuff on the engineering front. I went to school for this, and I sometimes forget that I know how much I know, and I just you know, allow myself to be like, I don't know. But I do think that, I mean, it really depends on the person, but I'm just as happy, like, in being in a room with an amazing songwriter, with just, like, us and an acoustic guitar and getting a solid voice note app, like, full recording of a song. I'm just as happy to walk away with that as I am with, like, a kind of detailed session. And something Sarah and I have actually talked about, too, like, I know John Congleton, who's a mentor of yours, has mentioned this, is, like, you can kind of inadvertently back an artist into a corner if you overproduce a demo too much. And like, I have some songs where, you know, there's people who are like maybe wanting to be they're a songwriter / producer, they're kind of figuring out the production stuff, and I'm like, oh, I really like that chorus, but the demo is like so far in this direction that is not where I want to go sonically, or I'm not sure if I want to go. And I might not like have the vocabulary to know how to steer it back. So I think that can be tricky when someone is like goes too far down a lane, unless you're on the same page as it's happening of like, yes, we know what this is, let's just make it.
Yeah. And just to give go ahead, Sarah.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, just to give you kudos, Sarah, on the mix. I wasn't aware that you mixed this, but I should ask about all the credits related to this song. I think that is so impressive to be able to, and that's like probably what makes you such a good mixer in part, is your ability to like maybe detach a little more emotionally, or just like work from a technical place where you have that goal in mind of what you want it to sound like, and you're like employing your knowledge and your skills to be able to get it there. And like, I don't know. I think that's really impressive.
Well, nice like job. Maddie said, you know, it's interesting with this with this song Trash Fire specifically, like, because he did produce it, like, and like, like, you know, you were talking about Congleton, like, you know, Congleton loves to get a voice memo and start from scratch, and he is constantly sort of saying like, I get these things that people wrote with other people that are so produced, and then it like, it's hard to like recontextualize, or it's hard to like make it fit with everything else on the record, or whatever like myriad of reason. He can't like, he doesn't feel like he does his thing in the best way that he does it if there's so much that's been imagined already, unless you have a song like you said where Jaden just hit it out of the park right away. So it's like yes, it is a good song, you could just take the vocals and make it a completely different thing, but like the production does inform like the melody, and it informs like how this song got put together, and like and like the voice memo version of that song would have ended up in the same place, I think, as where Jaden took it. But as far as like then mixing it, it's the same thing where it's like, you know, I'll get stuff from people that is totally DIY and they want it to sound like Paramore, and it's like it's either not going to be that, or it's going to take like just so much like tooling around and making it something that that the producer didn't set out to make or didn't execute. Whereas like then there's some productions I'll get, like especially from the pop side, where it's like effectively mixed, and like if it were to come out, I don't think anybody would be like, oh, that's weird, it just doesn't sound like finished, you know, like because it does sound finished. And in that case, it's like my goal as a mixer is just like get out of the way and do the things that it needs just to like make it maybe a little smoother or like a little wider, or like whatever sort of things that maybe Jaden just put in like his sort of template vocal delay, and I'm like, okay, like that's cool, but like maybe this needs a little more automation, like we want more space in the choruses and we want to take it all away in the verses, like, you know, it's like kind of more stuff like that, or like straight up just being like this frequency in the guitars and this frequency in the drums aren't playing nicely together. Instead of like, how do I make this drum set sound like a drum set, you know?
Well, just to put it like really simply, it's like just make it sound like a real song. Like I feel like sometimes people lose sight of that, and I know in the film world it's similar. Like there's an entire lifetime of technical knowledge you can acquire to achieve it, but the goal is like, is what you're seeing in this little frame, does it look like a movie? Does it look does it look like a movie? Does it look like a TV show? Like, does it sound like a song? Like, it should just, like, you understood the assignment with Trash Fire of like, this should just sound like a giant poppy hooky rock song, and like you took cues from the rough mix, and like you knew what we were trying to achieve, and you just made it like, you know, sound bigger and, you know, just more right. Like you weren't trying to do something else with it.
Yeah, well, I guess like if we have a little more time, I kind of wanted to talk about like your style, like this, something that I found when I was writing the next song with you and Jaden, and I got the ask to be in the writing room too. So I guess I did a good, okay job on the mix. But like, you both have a sort of Max Martin-esque approach to lyric writing. That's like, you know, the Swedish pop way is kind of like, they're just gonna say like what sounds the best to say, and sometimes you get like hooks that kind of don't really like colloquially makes it, like you would never say that necessarily to someone, but it still sounds conversational, and it feels, all the syllables are like making your mouth sort of feel like that is exactly what is supposed to be said, even though that's like maybe at the expense of like maybe that's like at the expense of like the sort of like gritty, detailed thing that's happening in singer-songwriter world, right? Excuse me. Singer-songwriter world right now. But but the benefit is that like by chorus 2, everyone knows the song already, which is amazing. And that's like the way of pop. So maybe you can speak a little bit about that.
Yeah, that's a fun thing to talk about. I mean, I've been writing songs for so many years, and I also I'm a writer, like not just songs. And for me, editing is such a huge part of the puzzle. The main first step is never like, people can get really stuck. Like, say you're just writing an essay or something, you're like trying to think of a really good first sentence, and then you're just stuck right there. Like, I think for me, getting all of my feelings out is like kind of the first stop of like writing until how I really feel about it comes out. And then that is like a thesis, and once that is out, you build structure around it. And so I really think of songwriting as a puzzle, like lyric writing specifically as a puzzle. And once I know a concept, and then we figure out, like, I can hear what sounds good, so we figure out, you know, a general melody and a general vibe. And then once I have a melody, it's just a puzzle of saying what I want to say in the right amount of syllables, and it has to sing right, and it has to sound good, sound and feel right coming out of my mouth. And sometimes, like, singing something can just give you, this goes back to what you said about, like, thinking in icons and feelings. It's like you might get more out of, saying something a certain way than you would of, like, a long description of it. And I've played around so much over my arc of artist development. Like, I've written songs in the style of, like, wordy folk songs, and I have different voices I've explored, and this kind of where I landed as an artist with my first 2 EPs and my first album, like I spoke about earlier, was so much about wanting to express the fun, joy, and acceptance of like being queer and being okay with that, and thinking that being in love with a girl is something that's really cute and sweet. Like, that was a feeling that I wanted to convey, and you can, like it's just a deliberate choice of, like, wanting to make it sound and feel really right. And I mean, like, the most popular song of this year is Espresso, which makes no fucking sense. But
what's
it
that?
But
The Sabrina Carpenter song?
That's me, Espresso.
I'll check it
Whoa!
out.
Damn.
Oh
That's
my god.
sick.
Yeah, that is sick. I can't escape that song.
It's not cool. It's not cool.
The lyrics are, that's that me, Espresso.
But, like,
anyways,
it
feels right.
It feels right, and, like, the
Vibe.
syllable, like, I don't even know what the lyrics are, but it's like, "Tamara me, tamara ho, tamara me espresso," like,
Yeah.
like, that is what matters, and I feel like you have that in Trash Fire, like, the first line, "Breakfast for one, doing drugs in the hot tub," like,
the rhythm too. Sorry.
Exactly, the rhythm and the, like, that is like that, like, it feels like it should be that, and then, like, and I don't know that I've ever said that sentence to anyone,
Yeah, I mean, that is very much how I write, or, obviously I employ different writing techniques based on, like, what the song calls for, and especially when I'm writing for other artists, like, that is not necessarily their style. But for me, it's like, it really is based off of a feeling, and, like, I just had a separate train of thought. What was it? I was gonna say mid-sentence.
That happens to me on this show too.
Yeah. That's that you espresso.
That's that me espresso for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think of it as like I do a lot of crossword puzzles too, and it's just like
Nice.
Humble
I don't know.
brag. Smart.
Yeah. I like work out a lot too.
I also spend like 6 hours a day playing this ball shooting game on my phone. So
yeah, so like somewhere in between.
I tried to really get into crosswords so I could just have like a slightly less screen time of this like 2-dimensional ball shooting game.
I have a quick question because I know you have to go soon.
Yeah, for my stupid job.
Well, okay, so it kind of pertains, it's like a more of a spiritual, personal question, but kind of pertains to what we're talking about way earlier. And I don't want to put words in your mouth or like speak for your experience, but my question is about how, or like what the role of embracing your more girly side, as you said, like maybe more stereotypically feminine traits, things like that, in conjunction like with your sexuality and like coming to kind of own that more and like live within it and grow within it, how that informed maybe your artistry, like your songs and your writing and etc.
Yeah, that's such a good question. I mean, I've written about this a lot and like spoken about it a lot in interviews, but part of my like self-exploration was through like writing these songs and putting them out and kind of seeing myself be accepted. Like that kind of allowed this process to happen for me of accepting myself. And I think a piece of that, which I alluded to earlier, is like, I think when you're closeted and you don't really have the language and you haven't been able to just explore who you like to date and like how you like to express yourself, like, I think it can sometimes be confusing, like, sexuality versus gender identity, and, you know, like, what's what. And I think I realized that part of the reason I didn't feel comfortable presenting so feminine for so much of my life was because I really disliked male attention. And I absolutely hated when, like, a friendship would turn into, like, someone being like, oh, I like you, or, like, you know, just, you know, this stuff that girls experience of, like, being catcalled or whatever. Like, I just, you know, I, like, sadly, you know, have had various experiences of, like, unwanted, you know, it felt like violence, you know, because just of my presentation, and that I think is, like, a defense mechanism in a lot of ways. And once I got older and realized, like, I'm an adult, I'm kind of safe, and, you know, have more agency, and I know who I am, and I know what my sexuality is, I was like, I actually do feel like a woman, and I feel feminine, and, like, I really enjoy when, like, me and my queer girlies, like, want to go out, and we want to dress up and look cute. And, you know, I also a lot of the time feel like, for lack of a better word, tomboy shit of, like,
Yeah.
you know, I played sports growing up. I was, you know, I'm a lot of times more comfortable in just, like, sweatpants and whatever, but sports bra. But I just, I had never explored the girly side of myself. I had really rejected it. And so on Work It Out on the Track, like, I felt like I was able to explore that through music, and it made me more comfortable with that, because I was like, I can still be queer, and I can also be this way, and, like, it all kind of melds into one thing that is, like, felt right for my self-expression.
Yeah! Let's go toss the football in dresses.
Okay, I have a call in 2 minutes with a large software as a service company.
Oh, me too, actually.
Yeah, so we all have our software companies to talk to. Before you split, let me just plug really fast to everybody listening. Maddie Ross puts out music under her own name, Maddie Ross. She has a Substack that she's starting that's very interesting if you want to read more about what you were just talking about, just sort of queer identity. Maddie is in LA. Maddie's going on tour in the fall. And putting out a song very soon called Trash Fire. And she is just awesome. She is resident queer mommy to all. She loves animals, and she's my wife. Thank you for being on the podcast, Maddie.
Thank you so much,
I love you both
Maddie.
so much. Wait, I didn't even get to rant about how much we love Allie's music, and how we were listening to it on the drive up to the cabin where we wrote Sleeping In.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
the Allie DNA is in New Hotties record. I love your music too, Sarah. Obviously, couldn't be a bigger fan. I gotta go. I love you guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Maddie.
Bye.
Bye,
Allie.